So I'm Ahmed, co-founder and CEO of Narrator. Prior to this, I led the data team back at WeWork. And prior to that, I was doing AI for missile defense for Raytheon. So I'm here to talk about creating a single source of truth. The first thing I would like to say is that everyone loves a single source of truth. It's kind of the holy grail of data. And every single person probably in this talk has once said, why don't we create a single source of truth? Creating a single truth is actually kind of easy. You build data models that all have the data you need, and you point all your visualization, materialization, and everything else you need at the right data model. And that's it. If this was true, the talk would be over. But reality is not so simple. If we take two examples, like your monthly sales data and your marketing visitors to sales data, and you just sum the total number of sales by month, the numbers add up, and that leads to a lot of cascading problems. I'm sure you experienced the angry executive saying, hey, numbers don't match, and starts yelling at you. And that could be for many, many reasons. One, you're asking different questions based on the time of the visitor, while the second one is based on time of the sale. Two, there could be a bug in your SQL because these SQL queries get pretty complicated. And three, it's that not every marketing visitor actually has, or not every sale has a marketing visit due to like idea resolution and many, many reasons. And understanding this complication leads to a lot of issues. And that's why we have a solution. What if you actually did create a single source of truth? And by single, I mean a single table. What if we take all our data and put it into one single table where every row is a customer, action, and time, and you would actually create it? The benefit is you get the dream of a single source of truth where it's actually one table. Two, all the numbers will match and it's super easy to build. And three, it's just going to be really, really fast. The downside is that this table is going to be extremely hard to query, but we'll get into that in a second. So the activity schema is what we call the single source of truth table. It's simply time, action, customer, and you can actually build all your materializations, your plots, and everything just by querying the single table only. If you want to learn more about it, we actually open source the schema and write all about the spec in activityschema.com. So getting started with activity schema is really simple. You take all your raw data in your warehouse and you simply map it to these 11 columns. They're usually 20-line SQL snippets that take about 10 to 15 minutes to write, and you can get started by unioning all these transformations into one table that we call the activity stream. So let's think about how to use it. When it comes to using this table, you have to kind of query it a little differently. If you're trying to create that example of every month, how many total website views and total orders and the conversion rate, what you're going to do is go through every single activity that is a website visit and look at that activity and see if someone completed an order after that activity before they visited again the website, like in between. If they did, if the same customer did it, we're going to put a 1. If they didn't, put a 0, and we're going to call this thing did order. Then it's as easy as counting the total number of rows to get how many sessions the customer had, summing up the total, this did order column to get the total orders. And if you average the did order column, you get the conversion rate. It's that easy. The only difference here is that we're joining mostly on time and customer. And we call this relationship of joining this data first in between. And it turns out you can answer so many different questions by using this kind of approach. If you want to know the best email campaign to get your customers to order, you can just look at every opened email, first between, completed order. If you want to know the best paywall to getting subscribers, all you have to do is start a subscription, get the last before viewed paywall. If you want to know how long it takes someone from visiting your site for the first time to becoming a lead, it's going to be first viewed website to first after submitted a lead. And it turns out that almost any question you can come up with can be answered by these 11 relationships. By simply combining these building blocks and using these time-based operators, you can actually create any table you want. And I've been doing this for years. If you ever come to any of my demos, I will take live questions and show you how any question can be assembled with just these simple operators. Now, how do we actually do this first in between? Well, when you go to match data based on customer and time, you're doing a lot of window functions and you have to kind of be very clever, and it ends up becoming really hard to do this in SQL. So to make this a lot easier, we decided to build a system to help you auto-generate these queries. So in our app, you can actually generate these complex queries that are using some window functions and very optimized to combine these building blocks to create the data you need instantly. And putting this all together, we can actually learn a little bit about this value. By just creating a single table, we can actually create a single source of truth. From this one 11-column activity schema table, you're able to simply define your concepts as tiny little SQL snippets. Super easy to write, super easy to debug, no data dictionary needed, no debugging, no dependency manager needed. And then you can run your entire system on top of that activity schema. You can easily combine those activities using time-based operators. It guarantees that all the numbers are going to match. You'll never drop any rows. You can easily add columns by borrowing them from other activities. And the entire relationships that you're using are all human understandable. So not only you can do this as a data engineer or a data analyst, but this can be expanded to your entire organization. And if you want the best results of creating that experience, you can use our automated tool, Dataset, to create these auto-generated queries. Thank you.